Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Dear brothers and sisters, continuing again with chapter 28 and the lessons we're learning from this chapter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the tools of the test which He was choosing throughout the history of the human being. All these prophets, all these angels, specifically Abraham, Noah, Saleh, and Jonah, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Isa, Moses, all these people chosen. All the tools of the test are chosen. All the angels, especially Angel Jibreel, who's coming with the Quran, everybody's chosen for a specific mission. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will determine who will be on the straight path and who will deviate, who will deserve to go to the paradise and who will deserve to be going to the hellfire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Subhanallahi wa ta'ala amma yushrikun. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most exalted, is the one who need to be, He's a perfect, and He is the one who need to be followed. He's the one who need to be, everybody need to be obedient to Him. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shirk, which is partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the biggest sin anybody will do. And the shirk can be shirkun nafs, means you are putting yourself, your hawa, or your desires are dictating what to do or not what to do. Your desires are dictating the actions. And as we see, people are going after the lust. People going after the so many desires which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have says not to do. For example, you have the alcohol, you have the drugs, you have the gambling, you have all these kind of things. You have the homosexuality, you have the porn, you have so many things going on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's coming from the desires of the self. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given you the tools where to make these desires in a legitimate way. If the person have obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he'll find the way which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have prescribed in the Quran to how to do. You can marry. You can do everything in the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have prescribed. Then the important part also of partnership is associating others. Means leaders, these leaders who keep giving orders to some people to torture others, to kill others, to bomb others, to commit injustices towards others. Following these leaders is also a partnership with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you're following this leader, you're obeying these leaders, and you know that these actions are not supposed to be done, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have said not to do them. So all of these things, and in addition, worshiping or putting other deities, like for example Jesus, peace be upon him, my brothers, the Christian brothers and Christian sisters, worshiping Jesus and calling upon Jesus instead of calling about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the heaven and earth. You see the Hindus, they giving the cows or other entities, and they worshiping, some of them, the statues, the statue of this god or this god or this god. All of this stuff. You have the Buddhists, they're doing the same thing. All of these things considered partnership with Allah, and the person who will die upon these things, he will be in eternity in hellfire. You will be in hellfire for eternity. Dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizing after all of this, وَهُوَ وَرَبُّكَ يَعْلَمُ مَا تُكِنُّ صُدُورُهُمْ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. Allah knows what's inside, what they conceal in their heart and what they reveal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the people who are on the wrong path, the people who are trying to spread corruption, trying to spread immorality, trying to spread all kind of actions which will make the believers and will make the minds of the youth, will make the next generation's mind contaminated with the idea about sexualities, with idea about things which they supposed to not to indulge in it, at a certain time. They will spread that. When you see the believers and we see the Muslims on their righteous path, they will try to stop them from doing this. They now, you see, by movies, now by all the kind of social media apps, TikTok, Facebook, all these kind of things, and also coming into the curriculum of Islam, the curriculum of religion, and they try to change it so they can appeal to the modernity, and it will be modern, and they want the Muslim woman, for example, to just take off her clothes. The Muslim man, they want him to become a gay. The Muslim, so many things. So that's why this is very important for us to understand that Allah knows what these people have in their hearts towards the believers. And the believer have to stay strong, and they have to show bravery, and they have to show resistance, and they have to, basically, instead of them converting you to their, what they're trying to push you towards, from immorality, from all these things, you have to push them, and you have to preach the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He is in charge. He knows what they conceal, what they reveal, what the harm and what the evil they have in their hearts towards the believers. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closing this by saying, وَهُوَ Allah. Indeed, He is the only God who's worthy of worshipping. La ilaha illahu. There is only God, He is the only God who is worthy of worshiping. Why is that? Because He's the one who gives us everything. The oxygen we breathe, the organs we use, the sun, the moon, everything is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end of the day, He's the one who's going to grade our test. So He is the one you're supposed to have the complete loyalty towards Him. You see, a guy like Donald Trump, who's the president of the United States, what he's choosing? He's choosing people who you're loyal to him. That's just what he wants. He doesn't want people to stab him from the back. So this is what it is. The loyalty, you have to have loyalty to Allah, because Allah is the one who's going to reward, and He is the one who's going to give you the blessings, and He's going to make you happy. Otherwise, if you don't do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you don't become faithful and truthful with Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's very easy for Him to make you unhappy. وَلَهُ الْحَمْدِ. Indeed, gratefulness has to be for Him. You have to be grateful to Him at all the time. Whatever have inflicted you, from good or bad, from harm or good, you have to say thank you. It could be worse. Thank you, Allah, for all of what you're giving me. Thank you, Allah, for all that you have blessed me with. Fil ula, in this life, and in the akhirah, in the hereafter, when you find that Jannah, when you find these blessings, and when you find the promises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the believer has to be grateful to Allah all the time. وَلَهُ الْحُكْمُ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's control, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laws, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sharia, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He managed everything. He is the one who has to manage everything, and He's in control. You don't see Allah, but He's in control. He's the one who's controlling everything behind the scenes. But only the believer, only the people who have the wisdom, they will be able to understand that. They will be able to comprehend that. And from there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you see these people who are committing aggression after aggression, are the one who are on the top, don't be fooled. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing them. And when the time comes, He will demolish them. He will destroy them. وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُ. Everybody at the end of the day, he will go back to Allah. أقول قولي هذا.